Hello, friends. How long could you survive without food or water? A day? Maybe a week? What if some creatures on this planet can go without it for months, even years? From the burning deserts to the frozen edges of the earth, nature has built survivors that break every rule we thought we knew about life. Animals that slow their heartbeat to almost nothing, store water inside their bodies like living canteens, or bury themselves in silence, waiting for the world to wake up again. While they don't eat, don't drink, and yet they live on. You think you know what true endurance looks like? Wait until you meet these champions of survival. The animal kingdom is full of survivors with abilities that challenge everything we know about life itself. Some creatures can go days without food or water, others last for weeks, and a few can endure months or even years without a single sip or bite. They slow their hearts, lower their energy use, store water inside their bodies, and wait patiently while time passes by. These animals have evolved tricks that make them champions of endurance, living proof that survival isn't about strength alone, but about adapting in ways we can barely imagine. In this video, we'll meet the creatures that turn hunger and thirst into nothing more than a test they were born to win. When we think of survival, we picture strength, speed, or sharp claws. But the real masters of endurance win by doing the opposite. These animals slow down, shut off, or store what little they have to outlast nature's harshest challenges. From deserts with no rain for months to frozen wastelands where food vanishes, they've evolved secrets that let them go without eating or drinking for unimaginable lengths of time. In this story, we'll meet creatures that bend the rules of biology itself. Camels that can turn fat into water, snails that sleep for years, crocodiles, and snakes that can feast once and vanish into stillness for months. Bears that live half a year on nothing but stored energy, and even tiny beings that can survive droughts like living time capsules. Each one tells a part of the same story. That survival isn't just about what you have, but how you use it when the world gives you nothing. What if you could sleep through nearly half a year without food, without water, and still wake up alive and strong? That's exactly what grizzly bears and other large bear species do every winter, turning their own bodies into survival machines that defy what we think life needs to keep going. As the cold months close in and food becomes scarce, bears gorge themselves through late summer and fall, building thick layers of fat that will be their only fuel for the long months ahead. When winter arrives, they retreat to dens, caves, or hollow logs, and enter a state called hibernation. But this isn't just a deep sleep, it's a near-complete shutdown of their bodies designed for survival. Their heart rate drops from 50 beats per minute to as low as 8. Their breathing slows dramatically, their body temperature lowers, and their entire metabolism shifts to run on fat alone. For up to 7 months, bears don't eat, don't drink, don't urinate, and don't defecate. Their bodies recycle waste products into proteins, preventing poisoning from toxins that would kill other animals. Even their muscles and bones stay strong despite months of no movement, avoiding the atrophy that humans would suffer if bedridden for even a few weeks. Pregnant females perform an even greater miracle. They give birth during hibernation, nursing tiny cubs while still fasting, surviving entirely on their stored fat and water reserves locked in their tissues. Scientists have marveled at this ability because no other large mammal can sustain itself. this way for so long without permanent damage. When spring arrives and bears finally wake, they are weak and hungry, but very much alive, ready to hunt and forage again. Incredibly, they can lose up to 1/3 of their body weight during hibernation, yet their organs, muscles, and bones remain fully functional. In a world where survival usually means constant movement and feeding, bears have mastered a different rule. When the world gives you nothing, you don't fight it. You shut everything down, turning stored energy into life for months on end. Watching a bear emerge from its den after half a year of living on nothing but the power of its own body is witnessing one of nature's greatest endurance feats. Proof that sometimes survival isn't about what you can find. It's about how long you can last without needing anything at all. What would you do if your only hope of survival was to convince a predator that you were already dead, poisonous, and not worth eating? The hognose snake has turned this bizarre idea into an art form, performing one of nature's most convincing death scenes whenever danger gets too close. At first, this snake tries to avoid a fight by flattening its neck like a miniature cobra, hissing loudly and striking without biting. A bluff meant to scare predators into leaving. But if that act doesn't work, it takes things to a whole new level. The hognose snake suddenly flips onto its back, its mouth opens wide, tongue lolls out, its body goes limp, and to complete the illusion, it releases a foul, rotten smell from its glands, making predators believe it's not just dead, but decaying and unsafe to eat. Even the most determined hunters, from birds to mammals, usually recoil and walk away, convinced the snake is already a toxic, spoiled meal. Scientists have observed hognose snakes repeating this act over and over if a predator tries to check whether it's real, sometimes twisting into unnatural positions, belly up, jaw gaping, like a professional actor refusing to break character. What's fascinating is that this isn't blind instinct. The snake seems to judge the situation carefully, choosing bluff strikes first, then faking death only as a last resort, saving its most dramatic trick for when nothing else works. And when the danger is gone, the performance ends instantly. The snake flips over, closes its mouth, and slithers away as if nothing happened, ready to live another day. This act has fooled countless predators for millions of years, proving that survival isn't always about being the strongest or fastest hunter. Sometimes it belongs to the one who can sell the best lie, a lie so convincing that even nature's top killers hesitate, confused, giving just enough time for escape. The hognose snake shows us that in the wild, the smartest survivor is often not the one who fights the hardest, but the one who knows how to make its enemies believe the fight is already over. Did you know that camels don't actually store water in their humps, yet they can travel across the deadliest deserts on Earth for weeks or even months without a single drink? These incredible animals are nature's ultimate survival machines, designed over millions of years to endure conditions that would kill most creatures in hours. Their humps hold fat, not water, but this fat is their secret weapon. When food and water are gone, their bodies slowly break down these fat reserves, turning them into both energy and hydration that keeps them alive under the scorching sun. A camel can lose up to 25% of its body weight in water, an amount that would be fatal to a human. Yet it keeps walking, carrying loads for miles, seemingly unfazed by the suffocating heat. Their blood cells are oval-shaped, unlike ours, allowing blood to flow freely, even when thickened by dehydration. This unique adaptation prevents organ failure and lets the camel endure thirst levels no other mammal could survive. Their nostrils work like built-in water filters, capturing moisture from every exhale and recycling it back into their system, while also closing tightly during sandstorms to protect their lungs. Inside their bodies, the kidneys and intestines are so efficient they extract every drop of water possible, producing thick, concentrated urine and dry droppings that lose almost no liquid. Their body temperature rises during the day and drops at night, reducing the need for sweating and saving more precious water. Their fur reflects sunlight. Their long eyelashes and double-layered eyelids shield their eyes from searing winds, and their wide, padded feet carry them over burning sand without sinking or blistering. When they finally find water after a long, brutal trek, they can drink over 100 liters in just a few minutes, rehydrating faster than any other animal on Earth, preparing for another long march through nothingness. Camels can detect water sources miles away, navigate vast deserts without landmarks, and survive on thorny plants that would poison or injure other animals. They can withstand brutal heat by adjusting their internal temperature, even tolerating swings from freezing nights to 50-degree-C days without distress. Every part of their body is a masterpiece of desert engineering, a living fortress designed to turn scarcity into survival. To watch a camel in the heart of the desert is to witness the pinnacle of endurance. An animal that carries its own fuel, its own water, its own shelter, walking through a world where life itself should be impossible, and yet doing it with quiet, relentless strength that nothing can match. Imagine standing in the middle of a battlefield, surrounded by predators, yet remaining so perfectly disguised that the enemy walks past without even realizing you exist. That's the genius of the stick insect, one of nature's finest masters of camouflage, a creature that survives by turning itself into something predators don't even notice. A twig, a branch, or a lifeless piece of plant. These insects are living illusions. Their entire bodies are shaped like sticks or leaves, complete with ridges, knots, and even markings that mimic bark imperfections or leaf veins. But their trick doesn't stop at looks alone. Stick insects know how to act the part. When the wind blows, they sway gently back and forth on their thin legs, perfectly imitating the motion of leaves or branches. To a hungry bird or lizard, they're nothing more than part of the scenery, invisible in plain sight. Some species go even further, changing color slightly over time to match the exact shade of the plants they live on. Scientists have observed stick insects freezing for hours without a twitch when danger approaches, knowing that even the smallest movement could give them away. If a predator gets too close, some species have evolved backup tactics. Certain stick insects will drop to the ground, staying completely still, pretending to be a fallen twig until danger has passed. Others shed a limb to escape a predator's grasp, later regenerating the lost leg as if nothing happened. Some even release foul-smelling chemicals to make themselves unappetizing in case they are discovered. Their mimicry is so advanced that even expert researchers sometimes struggle to spot them in the wild. Predators searching through branches often pass right over these insects, never realizing that a potential meal was right in front of their eyes. This strategy has kept stick insects alive for over 100 million years, allowing them to survive in forests full of birds, reptiles, and mammals that would otherwise devour them in seconds. Their entire existence is a game of patience and deception, showing that survival in nature doesn't always go to the strongest or fastest, but to those who can disappear completely. Watching a stick insect vanish into its environment is like seeing nature's version of magic. No special effects, no tricks, just a creature so perfectly adapted that it wins the fight for life simply by being impossible to find. Imagine having the power to vanish right before your enemy's eyes, not by running or hiding, but by rewriting how you look in an instant. That's the incredible survival skill of the cuttlefish, one of the ocean's most gifted illusionists. These creatures live in waters full of predators, sharks, large fish, even other cuttlefish. Yet they thrive not by fighting or fleeing, but by tricking attackers at a level that feels almost supernatural. Their skin is covered with millions of specialized pigment cells called chromatophores, iridophores, and papillae, allowing them to change color, reflect light, and even alter the texture of their skin in milliseconds. One moment they look like a patch of sand, the next like a bed of seaweed or a jagged rock, making them vanish into their surroundings so completely that predators swim right past without noticing. But camouflage is only the start of their genius. Cuttlefish can send rapid pulses of color across their bodies to confuse attackers, creating flickering patterns that disrupt a predator's ability to focus, buying precious seconds to escape. Some scientists believe these moving patterns act almost like hypnotic waves, overwhelming the vision of predators and causing hesitation just long enough for the cuttlefish to dart away. These animals also use mimicry to avoid becoming a meal. They can imitate dangerous or unpalatable creatures, adopting the shape and colors of venomous fish or toxic sea slugs, sending a clear message to hunters: "I'm not safe to eat." Unlike most prey animals that simply react to threats, cuttlefish seem to assess their attackers, adjusting their disguise or patterns depending on who's hunting them and what environment they're in. This quick decision-making shows remarkable intelligence, giving them one of the most advanced survival toolkits in the ocean. Scientists studying cuttlefish in labs have seen them plan their moves, using objects for cover and choosing specific patterns to outwit predators or sneak up on their own prey. Watching a cuttlefish escape danger feels like witnessing magic. One second it's there, a soft-bodied target in plain sight. The next it has melted into the ocean floor, leaving attackers confused and searching. In a world where brute force usually decides life or death, cuttlefish prove that the sharpest survival strategy isn't teeth or speed. It's the ability to make your enemies doubt what they see, hesitate for just a moment, and lose their chance to strike. Evolution has made the cuttlefish a true master of deception, turning invisibility and illusion into a way of life that keeps them alive in a world full of danger. Have you ever imagined escaping death not by running or fighting, but by tricking your enemy into believing you're something far more dangerous than you really are? Many butterflies have mastered this art of deception, turning their delicate, colorful wings into shields of illusion that keep predators away. To a bird or lizard, a butterfly might seem like an easy meal, fragile and defenseless, but what they see isn't always what they think. Certain butterfly species have large eye-like patterns on their wings, known as false eyes, that make them look like much bigger, more threatening creatures. When danger approaches, the butterfly suddenly flashes these giant eye spots by spreading its wings wide, creating the terrifying illusion that the predator is staring into the gaze of an owl, a snake, or another powerful hunter. In an instant, the attacker hesitates, startled and confused, giving the butterfly the perfect chance to escape unharmed. But the tricks don't stop there. Some butterflies take camouflage to the next level, folding their wings to resemble dried leaves, bark, or even bird droppings, becoming practically invisible when they rest. Predators scanning for food see nothing but debris or waste, never realizing a living meal is right in front of them. Other species mimic the colors and patterns of poisonous butterflies, despite being harmless themselves. Birds that have tasted or witnessed the real toxic version learn to avoid that pattern for life, sparing the mimic species without them ever having to fight or flee. Scientists call this Batesian mimicry, an evolutionary masterpiece where survival is built on reputation and trickery rather than strength. In tropical rainforests, butterfly deception becomes a full show. Some species flip their wings to alternate between camouflage and warning patterns in a split second, dazzling predators and creating a confusing visual storm that makes it almost impossible to follow their movements. Every false eye, every fake wing pattern, every leaf-like disguise is part of a long evolutionary game of outsmarting hunters, turning vulnerability into an advantage. These insects survive not because they're fast or strong, but because they've learned how to control what predators believe, rewriting the story of life and death with a simple, perfect lie painted on their wings. Watching a butterfly escape danger this way is like seeing nature's own sleight of hand, a silent, breathtaking trick that leaves even the fiercest hunters second-guessing what's real and what's an illusion. You might think of crocodiles as relentless hunters that strike in an instant, but their most impressive survival trick isn't their jaw strength. It's how long they can endure without food, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. Crocodiles are masters of patience, predators that can feast once and then vanish into stillness for weeks or even months without eating another bite. Their secret is a metabolism so efficient it can almost switch off, conserving every drop of energy while they lie in the water like a log, motionless but alert, watching everything around them. After taking down a large prey, maybe a wildebeest or a fish big enough to fill their massive stomach, they can survive for months without another meal, letting their body process every ounce of nutrition, storing energy in ways that would kill most animals if they tried. Their blood chemistry allows them to slow their heart rate to just 2 or 3 beats per minute, lowering oxygen use and making digestion last far longer than you'd imagine possible. In extreme conditions, some crocodiles have gone a full year without food, relying entirely on their body's ability to stretch each calorie like liquid gold. This isn't weakness, it's calculated survival, the kind that has kept crocodiles alive for over 200 million years. Through mass extinctions and shifting continents, outliving dinosaurs and evolving almost unchanged. Their behavior makes them seem like lazy giants basking on riverbanks, but it's really a predator's perfect trap. They spend so little energy that they can wait as long as it takes for prey to make a mistake. Their ambushes are legendary because they don't need to hunt often. Every strike is meant to count, and they have time on their side. Crocodiles also store energy as fat in their tails, a backup reserve that lets them last during droughts or harsh seasons when prey disappears. Their bodies are designed to extract maximum nutrition from everything they eat, wasting nothing, turning a single hunt into survival for months on end. Even their ability to stay submerged plays a role. By slowing their heartbeat, they can stay underwater for over an hour, stalking prey without alerting a single ripple. This level of control over their body makes crocodiles one of nature's most efficient survivors. They are not just killers of rivers and swamps, they are endurance champions of the predator world, proving that true survival isn't about constant action, but about waiting, conserving, and striking only when success is certain. In the wild, where food can vanish for long stretches, the crocodile doesn't panic, doesn't starve, doesn't waste energy. It waits, perfectly still, a living fossil whose greatest weapon is time itself. Imagine living in a world where your home is nothing more than a shallow scrape in the ground. Your chicks have no protection, and every fox, snake, dog, or bird of prey sees your nest as an easy snack. Now imagine you have no claws to fight back, no sharp beak to strike, no venom, no speed to escape with your young, only your mind and your courage. This is the daily life of the killdeer, a small ground-nesting bird whose entire survival strategy depends on trickery and sacrifice. When a predator approaches its nest, the killdeer doesn't flee and abandon its eggs, nor does it attack. Instead, it launches one of nature's most daring performances, the broken wing act. The bird suddenly stumbles away from its nest, dragging one wing on the ground, feathers spread awkwardly, crying out in distress. To a predator, it's a dream come true. An injured, helpless bird that can't fly, promising an effortless meal. Instinctively, the attacker switches focus, leaving the nest behind to chase what looks like easy prey. The killdeer continues its act, hopping, fluttering, sometimes collapsing in the dirt as if it's on the verge of death, always moving just slowly enough to keep the predator's attention, but never too slow to be caught. Step by step, it lures the danger farther and farther from its vulnerable chicks. Then, when the nest is safely out of reach, the injured bird suddenly snaps out of its fake agony, takes to the sky with perfect wings, and vanishes, leaving the confused predator behind, fooled completely. Scientists have observed killdeer repeating this dangerous trick multiple times a day if threats keep coming. Each act is a calculated risk. One mistake, 1 second too slow, and the bird could become real prey. Yet, generation after generation, this bold strategy works, allowing countless chicks to hatch and survive, despite living in one of the most exposed nesting environments in the bird world. The intelligence behind this act is remarkable. The killdeer knows exactly how far to lead a predator before escaping, reading its speed and reactions, adjusting its movements like a skilled actor on stage. Some birds even fake injuries in multiple directions to confuse several attackers at once, creating a perfect diversion for their family to stay safe. This isn't instinct alone. It's tactical thinking, courage, and a willingness to put themselves in harm's way over and over again. The killdeer reminds us that true heroism in nature doesn't always roar or fight. Sometimes it limps, cries out, and pretends to be weak, turning cleverness into the ultimate shield against danger. You probably think of sloths as lazy, slow, and fragile. But what if I told you their secret to survival is a superpower we can only dream of? The ability to live on almost nothing for weeks, sometimes months, without weakening or starving. Sloths are among the most energy-efficient animals on Earth, built not for speed or power, but for mastering life in slow motion. Living high in tropical rainforests, they've adapted to survive on a diet so poor in calories that most animals would starve in days. Sloths eat mainly leaves, tough, fibrous, nutrient-poor leaves, yet they've turned this meager diet into a strategy that allows them to survive with minimal food and water for long periods of time. Their secret lies in their ultra-slow metabolism. A sloth's heart rate and body temperature are among the lowest for any mammal of its size, and they burn energy at an astonishingly slow pace. Digestion can take up to a month for a single meal to fully pass through their system, meaning every leaf eaten is stretched to its maximum potential, extracting every last bit of nutrition and moisture. Because their food provides so little water, sloths have evolved to conserve it like no other. They barely sweat, lose almost no fluids through waste, and can rely solely on water extracted from leaves and occasional rainfall. In extreme conditions, sloths can go weeks without direct access to fresh water. Moving little, sleeping for up to 20 hours a day, and letting their bodies slip into a state of near stasis where hunger and thirst almost disappear. Scientists have observed sloths surviving long dry spells by slowing their metabolism even further to levels that would put most mammals into a fatal coma. Yet sloths stay alive, strong enough to climb, feed slowly, and evade predators with their stillness and camouflage. Their endurance isn't about storing fat or finding large meals. It's about living so efficiently that they need almost nothing to keep going. In the jungle's harshest moments, when storms strip trees bare or droughts kill young leaves, other herbivores panic and starve, but sloths simply wait. They move slower than time itself, using patience as their shield, conserving energy, making a handful of leaves last for what feels like forever. They have perfected a survival strategy that trades speed for endurance, proving that sometimes winning the battle for life isn't about racing ahead. It's about knowing how to stay alive when the world gives you almost nothing at all. At first glance, a frog doesn't look like an animal built for extreme endurance, but some species have evolved survival tactics so powerful they can live nearly a year without a single meal or drop of water, turning themselves into living stones waiting for the world to change. One of the most impressive examples is the African bullfrog. When the blazing sun dries up its ponds and rain won't come for months, this frog doesn't panic or search endlessly for water. It simply burrows deep underground and enters a state of suspended life. Hidden beneath the soil, it begins to shed layers of skin that harden around its body like a tough cocoon, sealing in precious moisture and preventing deadly dehydration. Inside this self-made capsule, its heartbeat slows, its breathing becomes nearly undetectable, and it waits, surviving on tiny reserves of stored energy while the outside world turns to dust. Scientists have recorded these frogs staying hidden for almost a year without food or water, emerging only when the rains return to flood the land again. The moment it feels the vibrations of distant thunder or the first drops of moisture seep into the ground, the frog awakens, pushing through the earth, shedding its cocoon, and leaping back to life as if time had stood still. This ability is not just impressive, it's critical for survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth, where ponds can vanish for months and food disappears entirely. The frog's body is built for this challenge. It can reduce its energy use to almost nothing, recycle fluids internally, and endure conditions that would kill most creatures in days. Even its organs are protected during this long hibernation, staying perfectly preserved despite the brutal heat and lack of water. Imagine sleeping for a year, not eating, not drinking, yet waking up ready to hunt and mate within hours. That's the kind of biological magic these frogs perform. They are a living reminder that survival doesn't always mean fighting or running. Sometimes it means knowing when to stop, shut down, and wait for the world to become safe again. In deserts and dry savannas, where life vanishes and only dust remains, these frogs hide beneath the earth like time travelers, proving that endurance isn't just about strength. It's about mastering patience on a level few other animals can match. Ever wondered what it feels like to eat once and not feel hunger for an entire year? Some snakes can do exactly that, turning one massive meal into a ticket for months of survival, making them masters of patience and endurance in the animal kingdom. Pythons and rattlesnakes are the best examples of this incredible ability. Unlike most animals that must eat daily or weekly to stay alive, these snakes can feast on a large prey item, a deer, a pig, or even something as big as themselves, and then vanish into hiding for months, sometimes nearly a full year, without touching another bite. Their bodies are designed to make every ounce of food count. After swallowing prey whole, they can expand their stomach and produce a flood of digestive enzymes so powerful that bones, fur, and organs are completely dissolved. Once the meal is processed, their metabolism slows dramatically, sometimes dropping by more than 70%, conserving energy like no mammal can. Even their internal organs change. Their heart and digestive system shrink after feeding, reducing energy use, and then expand again when the next meal comes, like a biological switch that saves life in times of scarcity. Snakes can live in harsh environments where food is rare because they are prepared to wait, hiding in burrows, under rocks, or coiled on a tree branch. For months, barely moving, heart beating slowly, living off stored energy. Scientists have observed large snakes surviving over 10 months in the wild after a single successful hunt, their bodies perfectly adapted to long periods of fasting without losing strength or hunting skills. This isn't just hunger tolerance. It's a survival strategy millions of years in the making, allowing snakes to thrive in deserts, jungles, and swamps, where prey can disappear for seasons. Unlike predators that burn energy constantly chasing food, snakes strike only when the reward is big enough to last, then become shadows, silent and still, turning patience into power. In nature, where every mistake can mean death, snakes have learned one truth: few animals can match. Survival isn't about eating often, it's about eating smart, once, and making it last longer than anyone would think possible. Have you ever thought a tiny, fragile frog could outsmart predators not by running or fighting, but by playing one of the most convincing tricks in nature? Many frog species have mastered deception as their #1 survival tool, using false signals, fake movements, and incredible disguises to turn hunters into the hunted or simply confuse them long enough to escape. One of the most remarkable examples is the red-eyed tree frog and other tropical species that perform a perfect act of distraction when danger closes in. Instead of fleeing immediately, which would expose them, these frogs stay perfectly still, blending with leaves using their green coloration, becoming invisible in plain sight. But when a snake, bird, or larger lizard gets too close, the frog suddenly opens its eyes wide, flashing bright red or yellow colors on its limbs, startling the predator for a crucial second. That single moment of confusion is all it needs to leap to safety. Other frogs use an even more cunning approach. Some play dead, flipping onto their backs, remaining motionless, letting predators believe they are already rotting or toxic. Many amphibians release unpleasant-smelling secretions when threatened, selling the act with perfect realism. Predators that rely on movement and smell lose interest, thinking the prey is unfit to eat. Some frogs combine trickery with mimicry, flattening their bodies or inflating themselves to look larger and more dangerous, while others imitate leaves, bark, or even bird droppings, making hunters look right past them without realizing their meal is inches away. There are species like the false-eyed frog that have large spots on their hind legs, resembling the eyes of a much bigger animal. When they feel threatened, they lift their legs, showing these fake eyes to terrify or confuse attackers, making them think they're facing a dangerous predator instead of a small amphibian. Scientists have observed frogs using these tactics repeatedly, switching between staying invisible, pretending to be dead, or performing sudden shock, depending on which enemy approaches. It's not brute force or fast legs that keep these fragile creatures alive in forests full of hunters. It's pure strategy, a performance honed by evolution to trick even the smartest predator. In a world where a split-second decision decides who eats and who escapes, frogs prove that cleverness, illusion, and a perfectly timed lie can be more powerful than claws or teeth. Their tricks may look simple to us, but they are a masterpiece of survival theater, played out night after night on the rainforest stage, where every jump could be the last if not for the power of deception. Have you ever wished you could vanish before danger even noticed you? The chameleon has turned this wish into a reality, evolving one of nature's most sophisticated camouflage systems that makes it nearly untouchable in the wild. This reptile doesn't rely on speed or strength to escape predators. Instead, it bends light, changes colors, and manipulates its own appearance to become part of its surroundings, turning invisibility into a survival weapon. The secret lies in its remarkable skin, layered with special cells called chromatophores and nanocrystals that reflect and absorb light in different ways. With a simple adjustment of muscle tension, a chameleon can shift from green to brown, yellow, orange, or even display multiple colors at once. This isn't just a passive reaction to temperature or mood. It's an active, deliberate choice to match the environment, confuse predators, and even communicate with other chameleons. When a bird of prey circles above, or a snake slithers nearby, the chameleon freezes completely, skin blending into leaves, branches, or bark so perfectly that it disappears from sight. Some species take this trick further, subtly changing shades throughout the day as the light shifts, staying invisible no matter how the forest transforms around them. Scientists have studied wild chameleons and found that their camouflage is incredibly precise, adjusting not only color but patterns, creating fake shadows or highlights to mimic sunspots on leaves. This isn't their only clever trick. Chameleons use stillness as a weapon, moving so slowly that predators struggle to detect motion. Their bodies can rock gently, mimicking the sway of branches in the wind, making them indistinguishable from the foliage. Their independently moving eyes give them a full 360-degree view without moving their heads, allowing them to scan for threats while remaining perfectly still. When cornered, some chameleons switch tactics, flashing bright, bold colors to startle predators or signal that they might be poisonous or dangerous, buying enough time to escape. The brilliance of the chameleon's survival strategy is that it doesn't fight danger directly. It avoids it altogether, making predators waste energy searching for a meal that's right in front of them. This incredible adaptation has kept chameleons alive for millions of years in forests, deserts, and grasslands full of hungry hunters. Watching a chameleon vanish into its background feels like magic, but it's nature's ultimate mind game. A living creature turning light and color into a shield, proving that in the wild, survival often belongs to those who can fool the eye, not just outrun the claw. They say survival is about strength or speed, but these animals prove it's about something far more powerful: the ability to outlast the impossible. We've seen camels crossing burning deserts without a drop of water for weeks, crocodiles turning one meal into life for months, and snails sealing themselves away to sleep through years of drought. Sharks and snakes can feast once and disappear for entire seasons, while scorpions wait in stillness for a year on nothing but patience. Emperor penguins stand in brutal storms for 4 months without food. Frogs entomb themselves underground to wait out a dead earth, and spiders hide in silence for half a year, surviving on a single lucky hunt. Bears turn their own fat into fuel for 7 long months of hibernation. Tortoises carry their water inside. Sloths live in slow motion on almost nothing, and albatrosses cross oceans, surviving on hope and endurance. Each one reveals a truth about life we often forget. Survival isn't just about fighting or winning. It's about knowing how to last when the world gives you nothing at all, turning time, patience, and adaptation into the greatest superpowers nature ever created. We like to believe survival is a matter of willpower, but these animals prove it's something far greater. A delicate balance between biology, adaptation, and time itself. Their ability to endure weeks, months, even years without food or water reshapes what we think life needs to keep going. It shows that intelligence isn't only about thought, and strength isn't only about force. True power can be quiet, hidden in the ability to wait, to stretch a single drop of water, a single meal, into life itself. These creatures are living proof that nature doesn't follow human rules. It writes its own, turning emptiness into opportunity and scarcity into survival. They remind us that life can persist in places where everything says it shouldn't. That sometimes the greatest victory is simply staying alive when the world tries to erase you. In the end, these endurance champions challenge us to see survival not as a fight, but as an art. One perfected long before we ever learned to call ourselves resilient. We've just witnessed some of nature's toughest survivors, animals that can defy hunger, thirst, and time itself, proving that life finds a way even in the harshest, most impossible conditions. From deserts with no rain to frozen wastelands, from the depths of the oceans to the endless skies, These creatures have turned endurance into their ultimate weapon, rewriting everything we thought we knew about survival. If this video opened your eyes to just how incredible the natural world can be, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories that reveal nature's hidden power, and share this with someone who needs to see what true resilience looks like. Now it's your turn. Which of these animals impressed you the most? Which one would you never want to trade places with? And do you know of another champion of survival we should include next time? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because the world is full of untold stories of life pushing past the limits, and together we'll uncover them all.